Okay, it's time for a second video. Exciting, we're all excited. Let's see. I've done 2 yoga positions today. I got dressed in real clothes, and I took my medicine, so I guess you could say I'm ready to be romanced. Okay. Now, I did promise that we would appreciate the art and all the little details, and that is what we will do. I think probably my favorite thing in this quarter of the city at this time of day, so many qualifiers, it would have to be the lanterns. I just think they're so lovely, and they look so, like the curves are curving, and they look so both delicate and robust, and I really appreciate that. I also love the curtains. I really love the stained glass windows, but you'll also see when we see them at night, they look even nicer, and that's exciting. Let's get into it. We're going to meet someone new today. Maybe 2 people new. I don't know how long this video is going to be. 2 streets later, I pass under a wrought iron archway adorned with dangling garlands of red and pink lilies. The buildings in this quarter are a dizzying riot of color, painted walls and tinted glass everywhere I look. Sheer red and pink curtains flutter in open doorways. Musical voices call out invitingly. Incense mingles with the pungent scent of flowers, barely covering the salt and musk of warm bodies. This must be Iridia's entertainment district. I'm polishing off my food and dusting the crumbs from my hands when I spot a poster. It features the silhouette of a smiling man wearing a single dagger-like earring and the word Bloodhounds printed above his head. A motto, as above, so below, circles the artwork. If Leander is the leader of the Bloodhounds, then the face printed on the poster is likely his. I follow the line of identical posters around the corner and nearly hit my head on a precariously dangling wooden sign. Looking up, faded orange letters read, "The Wet Wick." The facade of the building looks like it's seen better days, but I hear faint music and laughter coming from inside. The inside of the bar is a far cry from the abandoned exterior. It's not even midday, yet most of the tables and booths are occupied by a loose assembly of people in matching green cloaks. I'm no stranger to bars. Sometimes I would take my books to the local tavern for a change of scenery, but I much prefer quieter places. A cursory glance doesn't turn up anyone with a dagger-shaped earring. I'm about to head towards the counter when a chant rises from the center of the room. Show, show, show. The remaining green cloaks abandon the bar and their booths to rush towards the center of the room in a sudden torrent. There's no time to move out of the way. I'm caught, swept along in the ale-stenched current. Hey. Rhythmic chanting drowns out my voice. I thrash, throwing out my elbows as the press of bodies grows heavier. My hip knocks into a table. I grip it, holding on tight to steady myself, but the crowd has stilled. The chanting stopped. A pair of gilded boots stride across the tabletop. Seriously, you dogs, again. Scattered laughter and cheers rise from the audience. I drag my eyes upwards. A well-dressed man stands on the table in front of me, his broad shoulders framed by the thick lapels of a trench coat. This really is the last time, all right. This time when he speaks, the audience falls silent, as though bewitched by his magnetic presence or rich, low voice. Yes, very rich and very low, and not neither of those things. Okay, well, let us look at the boy. Let us see the boy. Obviously the dagger-shaped earring, interesting scar running across his cheek and down to his neck, it appears. Some lovely jewelry. You know, I'm not as enamored with this particular romance option as I was with Kiraz. I think Kiraz truly had something magical about him. And obviously Leander does too. I mean, literally swirling with magic. But, you know, I appreciate a man who really... Okay, here's the thing. Like, I think out of context, I would be like, Leander is the best dressed man in whatever room he's in. But we already met Kiraz, and Kiraz was obviously the best dressed man, probably in all of Iridia. Here's the thing. I'm just not enamored with Leander, and that's okay. I don't have to be. He's for someone else. But nothing is as captivating as his smile. That I agree with. He beams at the crowd around him, a performer on his makeshift stage. Don't blink, or you'll miss it. He laughs, and the dagger-shaped earring dangling from his left ear catches the light in a flash of gold. It would seem I've found Leander. He raises his hand above the audience and snaps. A flash of pale green light, real magic, no ordinary stage trick, blinds me. As the brilliance ebbs, my gaze refocuses on the mage towering above me. Okay, I will say, whoever drew this man's hands, you, to me, are Michelangelo. They are so good. They are so good. And they are so good, and you can see all of them. It's the other thing that is impressive. I always hide hands in my drawings. Okay. As the brilliance ebbs, my gaze refocuses on the mage towering above me. He flicks his wrist, and the magic spiraling around him coalesces. A delicate flower stem sprouts from between his pinched fingers. One by one, glowing lily petals spring forth. With a flourish, the mage presents the conjured flowers. The audience bursts into clapping and cheers. My mouth hangs open, and not just on account of the impressive performance. There was no incantation, no spell circle. I'd never seen something so beautiful and intricate, conjured so effortlessly. Leander must be an incredibly gifted mage. No wonder Kiraz recommended him. Leander plucks the iridescent bouquet out of the air and turns in a slow circle, giving his audience a good look. Now, who could use some good luck? Eager onlookers scoot closer to the table. Some reach for the lilies, while others whistle and call Leander's name. But his cool green eyes slide right over them, locking on me instead. How about you? My chest tightens. Every person gathered turns to stare at me. No. This choice doesn't, I don't think it necessarily matters for the overall story. I'm gonna refuse the flowers. My voice comes out weaker than I'd like. Someone else might appreciate them more. Leander's smile widens as though he didn't hear me at all. You seem like you could use something to brighten up your day. But as he speaks, the lilies fade away in a shower of opalescent light. To my surprise, Leander laughs under his breath. That's the problem with flowers. They don't last long, but They leave an impression, right? He grins at me, and I find myself smiling back. Okay, we get a slightly better view of the man. I will say his belt is fantastic. I want it. Also love daggers, but the belt is very pretty, very celestial. And I love the sort of key, I mean, it's a keychain, right? That he has hanging off of it. Yeah, and God, the hands again, whoever did this. Like, look at the hand that is on his waist. Someone drew that. That's crazy to me. Okay, let's go. Leander steps off of the table, dropping among the excited crowd with an audible clink. All right, bloodhounds, go back to your drinks. Show's over. The green cloaks disperse at his command, returning to their tables and booths. God, the picture blinked and I got scared. Before I can make my way towards Leander, his eyes find me. He does have lovely eyes. He gives me a friendly wave, then beckons me over to the crowded counter. I manage to squeeze beside him, but there's so little room that his broad shoulder presses against mine. Oh no, whatever will we do? I tense, but he doesn't seem to mind at all. This your first time in Iridia? He says it lightly, with a genuine air of curiosity. Do I stick out that much? No, but I'm certain I'd remember seeing a face as lovely as yours around Lowtown. My eyes flicker to the polished countertop. I'm not used to flattery, and being this close makes eye contact difficult. Wow, they're just like me for real. As if on cue, the bartender approaches us. What can I get ya? Surprise me, and add anything my friend wants to my tab. I wasn't expecting the generosity, but I have to admit I do feel a little thirsty after all that fried dough. Okay, again, for me, at a later stage, we might choose to, have a drinky drink, but for me, still in survival mode, I'm choosing water. Water's fine. While the bartender leaves to fix our drinks, Leander leans his elbows on the counter. I'm close enough to notice the purple shadows under his lower lids. His eyes wander over me in return, but when they lock on my bandaged hands, a sour taste rises in my throat. Here come the questions. So, what brings you to the Wick? Kiras sent me. He pushes his hair back from his forehead, but it immediately falls right back into place. So, it's about work. The bartender pushes a pair of glasses our way. I don't realize how thirsty I am until the cool water touches my lips. I drain the water in a single gulp. Damn, okay. Leander takes a deep swig of his beer and lets out a satisfied breath. How can I be of assistance? I need to get to the cenobium. As soon as the word cenobium leaves my mouth, the entire bar falls silent. Bloodhounds twist around in their seats to gawk openly. Finally, an especially drunk one speaks up. The hell are you? Bringing up the cenobium in here? Throw him out. This is bloodhound territory. The vitriol catches me off guard. From the angry looks thrown my way, it's clear I've broken some unspoken rule just by mentioning the cenobium. When I glance at Leander, he's drinking, as though he hasn't noticed the uproar. Only when he catches me looking does he lower his glass. For the love of... He drags a hand down his face. Hey, keep it down, will you? This is business. I tense, expecting an argument, but the outspoken bloodhounds silently return to their drinks. Only a handful continue to watch me warily. Sorry about them. A cenobium's a bit of a touchy subject in these parts. Mix in enough drinks and, well, you saw. How about we continue this outside? When I give him a terse nod, he pushes away from the bar counter. I follow Leander to an alleyway tucked behind the wet wick where layers of frayed bloodhound posters have been plastered to the walls. Seeing them side by side, the resemblance between Leander and his likeness on the posters is impressive. Also, when he's facing us like this, he is much more hot than any other pose. Okay. Kuros didn't send you here for help with the cenobium, did he? From the look he gives me, he already knows the answer. I glance away. No, he didn't. He suggested I find an alternative. But here you are, asking about them anyway. What do you need the cenobium for? I don't want to tell him about my curse. The less people know about my capabilities, the better. Thankfully, Leander takes my reluctant silence as an answer. Well, I see you're already aware of the city's currency. Information's worth its weight in gold here. Kuros told you the truth. The cenobium's dangerous. Get on their bad side and they'll imprison you if you're lucky, or torture you if you're not. Torture? My teacher never described anything like that. But the cenobium's supposed to be a place of learning, a sanctuary. The cenobium has always been heralded as the last bastion of human knowledge, a shining beacon of hope in a world steeped in nightmares. If any place held answers, it would be the cenobium. That's why I came here. That's what they want you to think, but things that seem too good to be true are often just that. Such a simple statement, yet it leaves me reeling. If it's true, if I staked everything on a lie, then what now? Leander clears his throat. But, as I always say, there's solutions to every problem, and alternatives to every solution. He claps his hands and turns to me with a brilliant smile. That's why Kuros pointed you to the bloodhounds. Let us help you. Whether it's hunting soulless, finding people, or recovering stolen valuables, we can do it all. And free of charge. I'm shaking my head before he's even finished his practice speech. My patience is wearing dangerously thin. Listen, I appreciate the offer, but my problem can't be solved by a group of good Samaritans. To my chagrin, Leander nods slowly. That is such a good line, because if you only listen to what they said, you would think that our protagonist... Hold on, I'll go back up. So they say, listen, I appreciate the offer, but my problem can't be solved. So fully rejecting what Leander's offering, right? And so then immediately followed by, to my chagrin, Leander nods slowly. So if they really meant the rejection, if they really felt that Leander, or if they had no hope that Leander could help them, then they wouldn't be chagrined when Leander accepts that rejection. But it's like they wanted Leander to be like, oh, no, we can help you. Whatever the problem is, we can help you. So I just think, in this, it's done in this one line, in this one phrase, that meaning is imparted, and I think that's honestly good writing, right? Then her problem must be fairly serious. And if the cenobium's your first choice, you're searching for a magical solution, aren't you? When my eyes widen, he nods along as though he suspected all along. I'd be happy to help you out. That is, if you'll tell me what ails you. Leander might not work for the Cenobium, but if his show is any indication, then he's even stronger than the mage who raised me. She couldn't do anything about my curse, but maybe... I'm silent, plagued by indecision. I don't know if I can trust him, but it's not like I have any alternatives. I hate to admit it, but this could be my only path forward. My confession comes out in a pained whisper. I'm cursed. Cursed? Oh, now I'm very curious. What kind of curse? Something ancestral or more recent? He looks me up and down, taking in my face, my eyes, and finally, my hands. It's your hands, isn't it? I wait until I'm certain my voice will remain steady before answering. My touch is dangerous. It changes people, hurts them. Before I've even finished, Leander begins taking his glove off. He tugs his left hand free and flexes his fingers. Let's see it. He offers me his hand, and a prismatic flash of magic ripples across his palm, an enchantment for protection, but I'm already shrieking backwards. I can't. I don't care how confident Leander is. I can't bring myself to hurt him, to see his kind face twist into a mask of madness. Believe me, this isn't an ordinary curse. I'll be fine. Perhaps where you come from, your affliction was strange and one of a kind. But spend a year in this city and you'll see 1,000 curses and thrice as many cures. Do you really think Kuros would send you here if I couldn't handle it? How should I know? I only met him today. I'm as good as any mage in the Cenobium. Better even. If they can help, so can I. You don't know what you're asking me. I'm asking you to trust me. I look from Leander's outstretched hand to his confident smile, and honestly, I feel like I can say with full confidence that this is the best thing this man does. Like, this moment is... like, it's really indicative of his character. Like, kind and brave, right? And this action. Because he doesn't know. And we don't know. No one here knows what will happen, right? But he's gonna do it anyway. Then, with a short breath, I begin unwinding the bandages from my hand. Fine, but if you lose control, don't say I didn't warn you. You can tie me up first if it makes you feel better. Also, I should have said, Leander is a bit of a, So, anyway. With each joint I expose, I grow more and more certain that this is a terrible idea. Ready when you are. If he's bothered by the way my hand looks, he doesn't show it. My fingers hover shakily over his palm. 3, 2, 1. We are going to touch him. We're going to give him the trust that he's asking us to give him. Okay. I tap his palm once, as quickly as possible. It's barely more than a brush, but that's all it ever takes. When I look at his face, expecting to see the worst, Leander only grins. See? It can't be. This time when I reach out to touch Leander's palm again, he catches my wrist before I can pull away. I told you, there's really nothing to worry about. Okay, is he cute when he blushes? Yes, okay. I hope you're all happy. He trails off when my thumb brushes the soft skin of his inner wrist. I search Leander's face for traces of madness, but his eyes remain a clear, soft green. Color rises in his cheeks, but he remains still except for the subtle bobbing of his throat. Neither of us speak as I trace the contours of Leander's palm, lost in an awareness I wasn't prepared for. I've been with other people, kissed them, been embraced by them, and more, but not like this. My fingers, long deprived by years of bandaging, pick up every single detail: the grooves of his palm, the smooth shell of his nails, the pulse of his heart. For as long as I've lived, I've never been able to hold someone's hand, not without dire consequences. I never realized what I was missing until this moment. While Leander's pulse is steady, mine is hammering as fear gives way to excitement. We're gonna keep touching him. My hand glides over Leander's wrist and up his forearm, where smooth skin abruptly gives way to the raised scar by the edge of his sleeve. It matches the one that runs from his collar to cheekbone. Could it be the same wound? I glance at Leander's face, and his lips part as he considers his words before speaking. Am I the first person you've been able to touch like this? My hand goes still on his arm. So far. I'll admit, your touch does make it somewhat difficult to stay level-headed, but not due to your power. He takes my hand. His soft green eyes flick to mine before he turns it to inspect the golden fissures crisscrossing my knuckles. Look, we match. He points at a golden pin on his coat collar, and I give him a small smile. I draw my hand back and take a steadying breath. My head feels as though it's stuffed with cotton. Habit alone guides me through the motions of rewrapping my hand, although my fingers tremble too much for the bandages to lie flat. I can't believe that worked. May I ask your name? I'm Chronic. You were right to hide this from me, Chronic. That curse of yours, it's unlike anything I've ever dealt with. I can tell you're discreet, but you'd best not go showing that off to anyone else. What? You mean all the other romance options in this game? I shouldn't show them? That sounds crazy. I didn't plan on it. Are you staying in Lowtown? I pause. Room and board was something I hadn't yet considered. I don't know. Let's get you properly settled then. He's really nice. The Wet Wick is noticeably quieter. Without their leader, most of the bloodhounds have dispersed, or, in a few cases, fallen asleep beside their drinks. Got any rooms left, or did my lot grab them all to sleep it off? The bartender, who I now realize doubles as an innkeeper, slides a key onto the counter. You know I always keep the corner room open for your escapades. Leander's laugh sounds slightly strained. And I always appreciate it, but you're mistaken. This is just for my friend Chronic. Sure. The bartender and I are on the same page. Sure. Stay as long as you like. You two have fun. Escapades, huh? Leander clears his throat, then holds the key out to me. But I hesitate. My coin purse barely holds enough for a day's worth of meals, let alone a room. How much do I owe you? Nothing. Bloodhound rates. My treat, since you shared your secret. Food, drink, a warm bed, anything you need. Carefully, I take the key from him. It's small, but weighs heavy in my palm. I never expected to have a warm bed in Iridia, let alone free meals. Thank you. Go explore, Chronic. You'll find many roads in Iridia, each leading to different answers, but if you need a reprieve from what haunts you, come find me. Just be careful. I nod, taking one last look at the gleaming bronze key before tucking it into the pocket of my cloak for safekeeping. Leander gives me one last friendly wave before I depart. The air clings, sodden and heavy. Without the morning crowd, the sunless streets look barren and bleak. Even the peddlers are long gone. Only a pair of crows remain quibbling over stale crusts in a gutter. I feel a ridiculous pang of envy. At least they've got reason to fight. I've never felt so lost. Kuros and Leander both made it clear that the cenobium can't be trusted. But I came so far, endured so much. I need to see the cenobium for myself, if only to satisfy my curiosity. I should have asked someone at the bar for directions before leaving. I'm about to turn back when a shadow passes over me. A cloud, I think, until a puff of hot breath tickles the back of my neck. The shadow runs down the street in rivulets. Formless dark spreads like ink into blotted shapes. Claws stretch. A muzzle splits open to reveal long, jagged teeth. A growl rumbles so low and deep I feel it. I want to run, to scream, but I feel trapped, as though the slightest movement or a single breath will snap the jaws around me shut. No, I won't let it end like this. If I'm going to die, I want to see what got me first. I steel myself, then turn. The shadow vanishes as quickly as it came. I'm left standing in the middle of the street, alone except for a figure reclining in the shade of a nearby stoop. A monster. That much is clear. Sorry. You see a man with cat ears. What do you think? A monster. A monster. That much is clear from a glance. One that could nearly be mistaken for human were it not for the tufted ears, the tail circled around his ankle. Or the dusk pink eyes with pupils that sharpen like needles when they fall on me. Our eyes meet, and the monster uncrosses his long legs. His hair gleams a shade of red that reminds me unsettlingly of blood where it curls around his collared throat. Jumpy, aren't you? His tone is so light and carefree that I glance over my shoulder to make sure he's speaking to me. When I look back, the stranger props his chin on his knuckles and regards me with an inscrutable little smile. Didn't you see that shadow just now? It was massive, moved like a beast. Even as I speak, I'm aware of how ridiculous I must sound, but the stranger's smile doesn't falter. The only beasts I've seen are the Wick's drooling regulars, though this did catch my eye. He's got our key. With a flourish of his hand, my in-room key appears dangling from his finger. It turns on its chain, glittering when it catches the light. Okay, let us look at the man. I mean, he's got a thigh out, so, we're feeling it. Deep V-neck, love that. Some leather harnesses and belts. Very chic, very cool, very goth. Just your average sort of goth cat man, Very pretty. My hands fly to my cloak's pockets and, sure enough, find them flat. He crooks his finger, beckoning. I've already taken 2 steps forward before some stifled instinct stops me. Something feels wrong. I'm still on the edge, thrumming with so much adrenaline that this stranger's shadow flickers at the edges of my vision. I always attract the worst kind of attention, but I can't get rattled now. Okay, we're gonna pretend that it's not our key. Because we're a professional bluffer. We're professional at bluffing. Who said that key's mine? He smiles wide enough to reveal pointed canines. I saw you drop it. You really should be more careful. City like this, somebody might take advantage. A bald-faced lie said without a hint of irony. There's no way I dropped that key, but I can't think of an explanation for how it went from my pocket to his hand. I approach the man, careful to keep an arm's length away. He doesn't look dangerous, but the most deadly ones never do. The stranger's chain softly clinks with the tilt of his head. His ears flick. Keeping your distance? I'd be stupid to trust you. You think I stole your dinky little key from all the way over here? He gives an exaggerated sigh. Look at that mischievous expression. He's a silly. I'm good with my hands, but not that good. Do I really look like a common thief to you? He's got me there. The sheer fabric of his sleeves alone would be too expensive for most street thieves. Hell, his shoes look like they cost more than I spent traveling here. And then there's the shop behind him. No matter the city, parted pink curtains only ever mean one thing. I'm not looking to buy, and I doubt I could afford your services anyway. Luckily for you, I don't charge. The man runs the tip of his tongue over a fang, and for the first time since I stepped into that shadow, I feel something other than dread. My face grows hot. That's not what I meant. I'm flattered, really. Or my trade, I might make an exception for you. How about half off for a... Or you could just hand over my key. Ask nicely, and I might even let you tug my tail. Just throw it here. So some spindly little street urchin can snatch it and run. He raises my key and tilts his head so he can watch it dangle back and forth. I suppose I could just claim your room for myself. Not that I'd be caught dead, slumming in the wick with the rest of those slack-jawed imbeciles. You're obviously not from around here, so tell me, traveler, what misfortune brought you to this wretched place? His voice practically drips with derision. I'm not telling you anything. What could have possibly drawn you to this dreary little pigpen, I wonder? He listlessly watches the arc of my key swinging around his finger. The weather's shit, the food's dreck, and there's entirely too many monsters for a human to feel safe. Unless... Dagger-sharp eyes flick towards me. They gleam with amusement. Unless you're just dying to consort with monsters. By now, my embarrassment has worn away, leaving simmering impatience in its place. If this is a shakedown, it's the most frustrating one I've heard of. We're gonna flirt back. How do you know that I spent all my money, starved, and nearly died in a swamp just so I could crawl into bed with the first thirsty monster I saw? Okay, that wasn't a great flirt, but you tried. That earns me a burst of breathy laughter. That earned you that? Okay. He gazes at me under his dark lashes. Aren't you funny? Could you be any more obvious? Sorry. You can't see that for, like, yeah. Could you be any more obvious? I have been told subtlety's not my strength. So, your place or mine? We're gonna get our key back. If only I had my key, then I might be able to invite you up. His languid gaze glides from me to the key in his hand and back. Come, take my hand and we'll go together. The more he flirts, the more convinced I become that this is some kind of trap. No matter how innocent monsters look, they always have tricks up their sleeves. Okay. Kind of weird thing to say, but sure. And something tells me that this one's more dangerous than he lets on, even if he has a lovely laugh. I don't know what you want or why you're messing with me, but I'm not coming any closer until I know you aren't going to attack or bite. I mean, you're just asking for trouble attacking that in with this guy. I won't bite hard unless you beg me. No matter what I say, he finds a way to twist my words into innuendo. Okay, I will say, you could have just not said or bite. I feel like that one you were truly asking for a rebuttal. Even when I'm silent, he goes on as though we're having a conversation, not a standoff. Do you like dancing? There's a traveling troupe performing in Hightown tonight. The lutist is utterly exquisite, truly a performance to die for. There's life in this dreadful place, if you know where to look. You sound like you know the city well. The man's gaze flickers from me to the key dangling from his finger. Naturally, this dump was little more than a miserable little smear when I first arrived. Hightown, Lowtown, I know Iridia like the back of my hand. What about the cenobium? Do you know where that is? His smile vanishes. Surely you've seen it. That absurdly large tower looming over the rest. It's a little hard to miss. He must mean that spire I noticed when I first caught sight of Iridia. The cenobium's overrated. Forget about it. I can show you things those stuffy boors in their limp dick tower couldn't even dream of. I've already got plans. Oh? Have you some pressing matters at the cenobium? Lunch dates with librarians? Tea time with the most esteemed abbess? That's my business. What's a matter to you? I square my shoulders and the amusement bleeds out of him. Your loss. The stranger, finally bored of his tedious game, extends his hand towards me. The key rests on his palm, neatly dividing skin and leather. When he makes no other move, I reach for the key, but as soon as my fingers graze smooth brass, his hand springs shut around my elbow. Hey! He yanks me down and I stagger, my soul slipping on the steps. For a sick moment, I fear my bandages will unravel under his touch, but he's careful not to disturb them even as his fingers dig into my arm. I knew I smelled blood. You reek of death in the road. And that fucking doctor. His voice, once silken, lowers to a smoky growl. The shadows around him seethe and boil as he pulls me closer. And something else. He murmurs against my throat, nose grazing my jaw. Let go. I try to twist away, but he doesn't budge. His breath trails down my neck, sending a thrill of dread through me. But just when I fear he'll bite, he takes a deep whiff instead. His wide, flat eyes gleam with naked hunger as he gazes up at me. Not quite human, not quite monster. Seems we're both. Vere! The stranger's ears flatten, and he releases me with a short breath. I yank my arm back, massaging it where his grip left grooves in the bandages. The stranger twists around to watch a woman duck out from the curtains behind him. Her cenobium uniform is nearly identical to the one my mentor kept tucked away in her closet. I leave you for all of what, 10 minutes, and you're making trouble again? Will you quit harassing the tourists? The stranger, Vere, I take it, rolls his eyes and flashes the cleric a withering smile. So suspicious. Can't you see this is a friend of mine? A natural liar. He grins at me and his tail swishes minutely. The woman purses her lips at me, clearly unconvinced. I open my mouth to correct him, but Vere cuts in. I was graciously offering my dear friend some free advice.
Though his voice remains light and cheerful, his expression darkens. Danger's drawn to you like a moth to flame. It will always find you, given time. The woman clucks her tongue as though she's heard this recital 102 times. A word of advice: don't take free advice from lazy foxes lounging in the streets. This crook would sell water to a drowning man for the sheer enjoyment of it. She shrugs off a wilting look from Vere. Oh, please, any friend of yours will know it's true. Now hold still. Vere rises gracefully at her approach. He pushes his hair aside so it drapes over one shoulder, exposing the long line of his neck. And suddenly it dawns on me that the jingling I heard earlier wasn't coming from the harness attached to his collar, but a leash. A heavy iron chain wound around a hitching post and padlocked to the back of his collar. Vere posed deliberately to hide his leash from me. The woman produces a keyring from her pocket. She rifles through a dozen identical keys before selecting one and slotting it into the lock. Come on, unless your friend's tagging along on our merry little soulless hunt. They're hunting for soulless inside the city? Words momentarily fail me. The woman regards me with a polite, if tight, smile, before marching down the stairs. Vere lingers. He stretches his arms over his head with a yawn, and I try not to stare at the way his stomach flattens when he arches his back. Your little secret's safe with me. Try not to get yourself killed, Vere hops off the stoop and bounds after the woman. His tail sways merrily, as though he hadn't just lied and threatened me. Did you try that thing I mentioned, the Laventian knot? That the one where you take 3 fingers and... actually, don't tell me. Knowing you, it's disgusting. Vere's airy laughter echoes down the street. It's only after he and the cleric have vanished from sight that I realize I'm still missing something. Wait. Reflexively, I shove my hands into my pockets and find it. The room key. I pull it out of my pocket and raise it to the light just to be sure. A nagging feeling distracts me from my relief. I don't know what Vere's game was or what he wanted from me. All I know for certain is that the cenobium saw fit to leash him, a fate I could share if that's what his vague warning meant. I let my eyes drift skyward, past the lanterns gently swaying in the breeze, to find the cenobium faintly visible through the haze. Just one glimpse is all I need, then I can put this all behind me. This time, the key goes into my coin purse for safekeeping. It's easy enough to follow the sluggish river that splits Iridia in two. A colossal bridge arches over the dark water below. I cross as quickly as I can, climbing ever uphill toward the distant tower. Hours later, legs aching, sweat beading on my forehead, I finally find what I was searching for. The cenobium of the luminous void. And that's where we're going to end today's part. I hope you enjoyed getting to know Leander and Vere, both very interesting characters. We've got the really nice guy of Leander, and then we've got the not so nice guy of Vere, and then we've got Kiraz, who has the mystery of Vere with the, at least, what I would call kindness of Leander. So kind of the best of both worlds, if we're really getting into it. So far, of course. My personal favorite hasn't arrived yet, but for now, I'm personally riding the Kiraz train. Curious to hear who you guys are interested in, and if you have a preference for which, at some point we're going to very briefly sort of spin off into a singular person. I thought that I would just do my favorite, but if there is a particularly strong audience reaction to one person more so than the others, then maybe we'll do that instead. But for now, do all the YouTube things. Please like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching.